I got my children here, and I got my friends here. So far she has.
Hi Joe, how you doing? Sorry.
Anything else? Come on, I'm watching this game. 2 years ago.
Lines are good. Except the sharp one.
I guess I have to move this way, huh?
Yeah, I have to.
Okay. I move on the other side, I can't shoot it. I'll stay right here, I won't move. Marvelous if you showed up just at the time you did.
We're here in Coney Island for the National United States Handball Association One World Championships.
Bob, why don't you do it?
What you're seeing here is an ongoing tradition of handball greatness. The first national One World Championship started in 1924, and it was won by Jack Barnes. You're probably going to see handball history being made in this tournament because the man serving, John Bike, is the national singles and doubles champion in 3 and 4 war. This is his first attempt at the Grand Slam. The Grand Slam has only been duplicated by 3 other individuals, Dick Hershkowitz and Oscar Obert, who won it in 1952 and 1962 respectively, and Carl Obert, who also won the national singles in 1, 3, and 4 war in different years. So John Bike, member of the New York Athletic Club, is pitted against powerful Paul Williams, tremendous player in 1, 3, and 4 war in his own right, with a tremendous boomerang left hand that sends the ball careening cross court at about 80 or 90 miles an hour. Bike, of course, is known for extraordinary power. Bike is a lefty, but over the past 2 or 3 years has gone on 20 city handball tours and has not only built himself to the peak of athletic perfection, but has also mastered the nuances of the opposite hand, bringing it back being conservative at times, and then bombing away at others. The score is now 8-3 with Mike, who has only one mode, that is forward power. That's his game plan, forward power. Being a lefty, he uses the same serve in free wall and full wall as you see him using now. Stands a little to the middle, and now we'll try and put it to Williams' opposite hand, hoping for the weak return. He hits the ball with such force that he usually gets them. It's about 80 degrees here now at the courts at West 5th Street. The surface of the cement is probably a lot higher, and that will be to the detriment of Paul Williams. He's carrying a little extra weight, and with the power that Mike is putting together right now, Williams is going to have to move faster than he usually does, and that's going to drain him considerably. But don't count Paul Williams out. He's a very powerful man with a big body. He knows how to block the ball. And if given the right circumstances, he can run off a lot of aces by himself. Just watch the intensity of these competitors. Watch the speed of the ball as it zips over that short line.
How come there are all these tremendous amount of errors that are being made by Paul now? You know, he's a pretty consistent player ordinarily. Is it Mike that's doing it, or is he just...
Well, it's a combination of circumstances. It's Mike's power, and during the winter season, Paul Williams has been playing a lot of four-wall. As you well know, Matthew, to try and play one wall, you have to rethink your whole game because it's basically straight ahead or angles. But in four-wall, sometimes you can get away with just swinging your arms knowing you won't be hitting the ball out. So by the time you get reacclimated to the one wall where you have to keep it within the confines of the line, and a guy like Mike is zipping the ball over 80 miles an hour, it becomes very difficult. But remember, the man who controls that serve is in the front court. With a body like Paul Williams, if he hits it behind him, the ball is disguised for that brief moment. That was a short.
John, how was that?
It was a short ball. Short ball. You have to pay a lot of attention here. And the referees, the one on the far side in the red shirt is John Yunus. He's standing with the sun right in his eyes. So the light bounces off the surface. He gets a little sweat on his eyelid. And the next thing you know, he doesn't see the ball. Of course, we know it's traveling very rapidly. Now, Mike is a really strange breed of handball player. He pumps in a lot of energy, and you think ultimately over the course of this tournament he'll get tired. But that hasn't happened. He just keeps pounding away. I've seen him play for 4, 5, 6 days in a row. At the end of the tournament, he's as strong as he is at the beginning of the tournament. Why? Because he's a dedicated handball player. I remember I mentioned that 20-city tour a few years ago. Well, this July, he's going to make another 20-city tour. So he's going to be in full blossom for the Free World Championship, which is typically held over the Labor Day holiday. That was an unbelievable shot and very necessary at this point. That sort of tries to congeal Paul Williams' condition here. If he didn't do that, he could run into a little trouble. But you can see the relentless pressure Mike puts on.
Well, he isn't executing. He should be keeping it high to Mike's right.
The ball is moving so fast, Matthew, that he doesn't have any choice. Watch Paul Williams' body position. If the ball comes to him and his feet are stable, he can really unwind with his whole body. But if you move him slightly to the side with a little pace on the ball, he's not that accurate.
He seems very frustrated.
There was a shot that hit right off the long line, and in one-wall handball, Pounce has a point. It took a double dip. It was beautiful. Obviously, it was a point, and Glenn Hall on the long line, calling the long line, has corroborated the call. Lou Radoslavich is the back referee. Lou is a really fine referee. He takes no guff from anybody. Concentrates on his job, very fair, very eminently fair, which is important in this game.
So John is playing back, and he's thinking that he will give away the aces at the short line?
No, he's so tall. The key is he plays back, but he's anticipating Williams putting it over the short line. So what he does is he moves his body weight forward as Williams is coming forward with his arm, anticipating the low shot. You see what Mike has done now? 2 bounces. That was 2 bounces. The short line referee should have called that. In my judgment, he missed another call. What did you see, Matthew?
I think you're right.
Yeah. Sometimes the pressure of refereeing gets to these guys.
If you're standing here, it's very difficult.
John Mike just uttered as he passed by the camera that Williams had it on 2 bounces.
Well, you got the point anyway. What's he worried about?
Well, the point is that upset of knowing that the referee made an error, because that may be a harbinger of future calls. There's tremendous pressure on these referees, and if they're not experienced, and these guys really aren't, it's just like a pick-em situation.
Well, you have to make a decisive call. So.
These guys aren't really up to it, in my judgment. It's very unfortunate, but that's the way it is. The committee sometimes just goes through the motions, which they shouldn't. They should do their best to get the very best referees. For instance, in the Eric Klarman game on the far court with Paul Monaghan, Morris Levitsky is on the short line. Excellent choice. Very good on the short line.
I see Paul looking very frustrated.
I think he's going to start to tire in any second, and it's going to be like shutting a light switch. His bike is going to get stronger and stronger. I saw Bike play in Miami Beach where the temperature was really up. His opponent was melting, and he got stronger, even though everybody in the gallery was hot and tired. We've got to get a fix on the score here, but Lou is not speaking very loudly. There was a nice positional play there by Paul. Stood in front and put the ball in front of himself. The score was 10-15, which is quite unusual at this juncture. Oh, he's out. That was an avoidable hinder because he moved his leg back. It wasn't a block, it was an avoidable hinder. Williams, at the last moment, put his leg back and prevented Mike from coming in.
No, he just came in.
He's got a shot. Yeah, he's got a shot. Block on him,
So in one wall, the server has a fault. Yeah, John Bike is used to 4-wall and 3-wall. In one wall, if the server creates the block, he has a fault on it. Why? Because in past cases, the server would create a block situation, thereby giving himself 2 serves. To overcome that possibility, we now assign a fault to him. So he'll think twice about doing it. This is what I'm talking about now. This is where Bike really shines at the end. It's 16-10. I think he's just about going to launch an offensive here. And I think Williams will try. And no matter what happens, in my judgment, even if Williams were to come back and win this game, I think he'll run out of juice. It's just my opinion. There goes Williams in a sort of sorry state, going to the sideline.
If you were the coach of Paul Williams, what would you say to him at this point?
I would start changing the speed of the ball. I would start putting the ball higher. I'd put a little spin on it. I'd loft the ball to the wall, and then as I'm hitting that particular shot, move in on back of it to put pressure on top of Bike. I wouldn't care if he went to the wall and rolled it out, but I'd have to change this game. This game plan of Williams is not very productive.
He's trying to out-hit Bike.
Exactly, and he's not going to out-hit him.
Big
All he's
mistake.
going to do is tire himself. Williams does have the ability to change the speed of the ball. But he has been playing guys which he's been overwhelming with his own power, and so he thinks he can stay in there. A really creative player and championship quality type guy will have the ability to change the game plan. It's one thing to change the game plan, but you have to have the talent in order to carry it out.
Well, now, actually, right there, he put the ball at Bike's feet. He had to move. It seemed to me he kept that up in a consistent way to keep the ball to the right at his feet, to drive it at his feet.
No, what I thought happened there, Bike scored a couple other points, enlarging his lead. He's only 3 points short of 21, 4 points short of 21, so I think he's just lingering for a couple of shots. See what happens? Bike just casually played that other shot. He lost the serve, and now we put a little pressure on him and got back. The score is 17-11. 11. Mike really didn't need that shot.
He must have been very happy to miss it. That was waist high to his left. That's what he wants.
He's got to be careful now. If he gives up a few unforced errors, that will not only give Paul Williams a little incentive, but put pressure on Mike with his four-wall stance. He may try a single ceiling shot, and there is no ceiling. It's very difficult to overcome them. He's doing very well. I said before the match that he definitely has the style to be a one-wall champion. His basic pattern in four-wall and three-wall, straight down the lines like that, and his low serve zipping up and down the lines. So he can do all that stuff at will. He really hasn't had to do anything different in his game plan. And I suspect that if he had to, he would come up with a shot behind his back with a little more spin on it. So he's going to do that that way. See that? He gets the hang of it, and he just puts it down. He's got stuff he hasn't even used yet, nothing. The score now is 18-12. And Mike really never gives up. He gets a little casual, but he never gives up. He's got his eye on the 21st corner. He knows from past history if you let up, you screw up. And so he won't let that happen here. Now Paul Williams is probably thinking he's tired. He's going to save himself for the second game. This is a wonderful exhibition by John Bike, who we've seen here at the West 5th Street courts for the first time, and he's doing remarkably well. He's never been on these courts. They're a little slippery because of some particles of sand being blown on the court by the beach. The heat of the day makes the ball a little bit faster. The lines get a little bit slicker, and the ball will start skidding off those. But he's mastered it very well against a highly qualified competitor such as Paul Williams. But the one ingredient here is Williams has never seen Mike play, and so now it's sort of a surprise element. If he gets this under his belt, if the fatigue factor doesn't undo him, Williams may come back with a couple of beautiful shots of his own. Let's see what happens. I would put the ball right at the long line, at Mike's feet, as you suggested.
Yeah. Slightly to the right.
Because he's got the lateral movement, right, and he can whack it with both hands.
Like you see him kind of, he bends his knees and he expects to go either one way or the other way, but he's not expecting to go either forward or backward. That hurts, doesn't it?
Well, it was a miscue on his part. He's getting tired. His feet aren't getting into the ball rapidly enough, and so forth.
You know, it's hard to understand how a guy like Paul, who's in shape,
he's not.
playing
I have to take that back. He's not. Look at his middle. He's about 20 or 30 pounds overweight around the middle. So despite that, he's a wonderful player. See, in four-wall, you don't have to run laterally and put out big speed. A guy like him on a four-wall court, 20 by 40, he takes a couple of steps either way, and he's in the play.
Right.
But a singles game, a master like Mike who can zip the ball cross court, which he hasn't even done yet, Matthew.
Right.
And the final of that first game is now 21-12. Nice game there, John. Very good. John is coming along very powerfully. He's getting the feel of the ball, which is going to be important in the subsequent games. Every game he plays now is going to add up in his repertoire of the opponents who are going to follow, assuming he wins this game. The other guys who are seeded players who are now watching this tournament, they're going to get a little upset too because they see this threat on the court. They only heard about him, but now they're seeing him in action, and I think there's going to be a little bit of fibrillation and a little bit of perspiration in their psyche, if not on their physical being.
Bro, what's up?
Okay, we're all set to go. John Bike
This looks very familiar, doesn't it?
has already aced the ball in game 2. John Bike has won the first game, 21-12. If he gets 21 points this game, he will have won the match. Paul Williams, on the other hand, should get 21 points first.
He doesn't seem to have any trouble adjusting.
That ball looked out to me from this angle. The man on the line thought it was good. That's unfortunate. But then again, like, who am I at this angle? Now, if they should split a game apiece, then it will go to a tiebreaker, 11 points.
It looks as if he's just gonna, you know, to run it out. He's not even trying.
Oh, he's warmed up now. He smells the blood in the water, and he's going to try and do a rapid number on Paul Williams now. Mike was rather conservative in the first game, feeling the situation out, then sensing he could win it, which he did. And now this game, he's not going to leave anything to chance. He's going to keep the pressure on Williams, trying to tire him out. But keep in mind, a man with Williams' power and his knowledge of one wall, and perhaps a little bit off the pace by Bike, may generate some points. But what's going to happen, in my judgment, is Bike will ultimately get the ball back, keep the ball in volley, and then Williams will tire. So what happened here was the 5-minute timeout between the first and second game gave Williams a second win. Now it's Bike's job to run him around a little bit. See what's happened there already?
You should have hit it to the right.
There was no question that was a very haphazard shot. And at the 2 points in the second game, it never should have happened. It tells me that Williams is fatigued. What Bike is going to do now is he's going to mix his strategy. He's going to put some to the long line, keep calling him back, then take him off the wall the same way Williams did to him. Then he's going to try and mix him up to keep Williams guessing. Now that Bike has the feel of the court, whereas in the first game he concentrated on a few serves, he's going to start spraying them all around just to take advantage of it. See that? That was right over the short line. The one before it was near the sideline at the notch, which is 9 feet behind the short line. He's going to mix them up beautifully now. He gets the off the wall. He has the ability to take it off the wall, and he's going to generate a lot of points. He's going to keep the pressure on Williams, not only to frustrate him, but also to tire him a little more. I'm looking at Williams' chin, and I see the perspiration is already starting to drip profusely, which is amazing for this juncture in the game. He's had a 5-minute timeout, and yet he's sweating tremendously. Despite the fact that the temperature is about 90, keep in mind that Williams has to use up a lot of energy. He's got a lot of beef on him. He's going to use up a lot of energy. That will cause a lot of perspiration, but eventually will also cause a lot of fatigue. Williams usually makes that shot at Bike's pace. What Williams hasn't figured out yet is that Bike is lefty. I mean, he's so involved in the throes of this match. Yeah, if he was to stand on the short line and use a soft overhand serve, a Bike's right hand, and then go to the wall, he'd be a lot more successful. He hasn't learned anything from game one. He's playing the same game plan. Bike there went for a right corner kill. He went for a right corner kill. See, that's instinctive from 4-wall and 3-wall. Unfortunately, there is no side wall to make that shot good.
What do you mean that would have been good for?
It would have been a beauty. A roll out right in the corner, like a mouse leaving a hole. Or going into the hole. See, the way to beat Bike at this juncture is not to try and zip him all that. Now he's getting the feel of it. Even though he's hitting it to Bike's left hand, that's not all too bad, because sometimes a player compensates for his opposite hand by standing a little bit toward his right. See, Williams is trying to mix him up. He's got to use less power, and he's got to hit the ball higher on the wall to get it right near. This is very bad for Paul. The longer the volley goes, the more trouble he'll be in. He's got to put the ball high and lofty to the long line, then take it off the wall and put it in front of himself. Bike is now like a rocket launcher. He's just going to keep whacking that ball. Look at him. That was a little careless, but he didn't care. He senses that he's in good condition. Score, 5-10. Wasn't that pretty the way Bike did that? He braced himself, spread his legs, and then casually pushed the ball into the right corner. See, that shot was no good because even though he hit it overhand, he went for a kill, which is poor percentage. But worse than that, it went to Bike's left hand. It seems he hasn't figured out Bike is a lefty yet. This is unbelievable. Not that it's necessarily, you see, that was the Bike's right hand, and he got the serve. It's not necessarily bad, Matthew, to hit it to the guy's left hand, even if he is a lefty. I remember playing Neil Bosian in the championship, and everybody was amazed how I kept hitting the ball to his left hand. The reason I did that is because he kept compensating for his weaker right hand by drifting off to the right. And Sandler played Torres in a tournament. Torres was leaning on his right leg, looking up the right line, and Sandler was standing on the right side of the court, and he zipped every ball over the short line to Torres' allegedly strong left. Within 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, Sandler had a 15-0 lead. But you have to know when to do it, and you have to know how to do it. There was a long-range kill shot by Bike on the long line for a beautiful kill. He can do that. He's got the power, he's got the control, and he can pop those shots in. 17-7. I think Lou may have, let's see what he says now to score it. Oh no, 12-7. He came up with 10, and he made 2. But keep in mind, as I say, in the third quarter of each game, where most guys get tired, Bike gets stronger. Extraordinary, just extraordinary. But keep in mind, as I said before, in this equation based purely on physical terms, Bike is in such superior condition, and even though Bike has been in the four-wall tour and things like that, as I said before, I don't think that was any good. The ball was no good. That was a skip ball. Bike made a real flashy run over here, right past the camera, got his hand on the ball, lowered the ball. Typically, he would have put it cross court and won the point, but he tried to be a little hammy on that. He knew he was running at top speed, so he wanted a little pizzazz there. Like that, see? He easily could have done that on the shot that he missed on the skip kill shot.
Is he not getting a grip because his sneakers to be sliding around?
Who's that? Paul Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite obvious that his sneakers are very slick. And with his weight and the little particles of sand from the beach, that doesn't help him.
You should have a new pair of sneakers.
Yeah, there's no question about it.
And every time he moves, you feel that slide.
It's
so
really,
he can never get a grip.
Yeah. It's interesting that you asked that question because in four-wall, it's very important to have good gripping sneakers. The only trouble in four-wall is they wear down at such a level that it smooths out the bottom of the surface of the sneaker after a while. And it looks like he's played with those sneakers for a while, so it looks like it's smoothed down. See, out on the cement, you get ridges on the bottom of your sneakers because it's not like an ice skating rink, and that's the difference. Now, Bike is the ultimate professional. For a couple of years in his stay on the pro tour, he's always made sure he's had the best equipment. If he were to turn up the bottoms of his sneakers right now, you would see two darkened areas on the bottom. You would see one on the toe area and one just around the heel area. He's a pro. He knows that business. He always gets the best clothes, he gets the best attire, and that makes a difference in the game. Did you see that ball? An ace. It was an ace. That was a beauty, and that's his strength. That time he put the ball low behind his back and he had a natural hook on it. That means it hits the floor and it moves away from Paul Williams' right hand. There's another zipper right down the line. And this is from a man who, before today, basically played only 3 and 4 wall where there were side wall. Look at the accuracy. It's like a surgeon, the way he could move that ball in pinpoint fashion to any spot on the court. Isn't that just beautiful? It's reminiscent of my brother Oscar, who was the master of 1, 3, and 4 wall singles and doubles. He can hit the ball from any part of the court, rolling them out. And Bike seems to be coming to that position now. He hasn't had to use his opposite hand that much, but he's so strong with his powerful left that he's taking full advantage of it. There was a backswing contact on that. The man in the back must move, and if the man in the front has a backswing contact, he calls it right away. If he doesn't call it, he doesn't get the replay. There's another shot right on the line. That was a mistake.